And at the other forward position, standing 6'6", in his 20th year out of Lower Merion High School in Pennsylvania, a 5-time NBA champion, 2-time NBA Finals MVP, League MVP, 17-time NBA All-Star, and the third leading scorer in NBA history, number 24, Kobe Bryant.
Man, like there's so many people that are just devastated that are fucking, whether you got a chance to meet Kobe, got a chance to talk to him, or just were a fan that was influenced by him. Like, he impacted so many lives, impacted the entire city of LA and everywhere else that he touched at, man. And damn, like, it was an honor when he had his baby a few months back. Because I've been talking to Vanessa trying to get this interview set up, I was able to have the chance to congratulate Vanessa and him on the new baby and get that reply that said thanks from both of us. That right there made my whole fucking year. Like, damn. We're gonna get into this King Lil G Kobe Bryant tribute track here. It's called Legacy. Check it out.
This is Los Angeles.
I was just a kid when I seen Kobe play. Back in 96, I was blown away. Proud to wear the jersey, it was number 8. It's heavy on my heart, but I don't show the pain. I remember you was sitting on that bench next to Phil Jackson, you the coldest ever since. If I had to pick Jordan or Kobe, you know what it is, we reppin' LA, homie. You was born in Philly, but you one of us. The whole city knows who the Black Mamba was. The year 2000, we got the first parade. We was happy, we forgot about the murder rate. Everybody in the streets with a Laker flag. We cherished every moment when you played with Shaq. 2001 NBA Finals. You did it once again, defeated the rivals. Mobbing with my 24 jersey. Mobbing with my number 8 jersey. Yeah. Mobbing with my 24 jersey. Mobbing with my number 8 jersey. Yeah. Light it up, yeah. Light it up for Kobe Bryant, yeah. Light it up, yeah. Light it up for Kobe Bryant, yeah. Back when I couldn't afford Lakers seats. 2002, it was a 3-peat. Kobe gave us all the love the streets need. Always made it happen with them big threes. When Shaq left, we never doubted you. We was by your side, still throwing up the W. It didn't matter if we took a loss. You made it happen once you linked up with Paul Gasol. 61 points, can't nobody see you. Purple and the gold, yeah, smashing every season. All we ever wanted was an autograph. So legendary, he could do it on a Dodger cap. Kobe, you forever be a role model. Tonight we drinking up the whole bottle. I hope we get to see you again. It'll never be the same without you in the gym. Mobbing with my 24 jersey. Mobbing with my number 8 jersey. Yeah. Mobbing with my 24 jersey. Mobbing with my number 8 jersey. Yeah. Light it up, yeah. Light it up for Kobe Bryant, yeah. Light it up, yeah. Light it up for Kobe Bryant, yeah.
Man, we're gonna get into this. Actually, we were able to get audio from Kobe's final interview before his passing. He sat down with USA Today, talked a lot about life after basketball, new projects coming up, new plans, things like that. So we're gonna go ahead and get into this audio right now. It's about a 17-minute interview.
Well, I'll start with this new book coming out here with the Wizard Art series, and it's a continuation from here. Can you take me through the player development of like to what extent it's an image of you and different coaches that influence you versus obviously the creative side.
It's a combination of a lot of different factors, man. Like when when it came to putting together the story, for this first book here, it was originally supposed to be based just on one character, which is the character of Rain. And he had trust issues with trusted teammates in critical situations. That's very familiar to me personally. But then what I've come to understand is also, because with my development, which was instrumental, was understanding the journey of my teammates. Because you can't just see in isolation the development of Rain's character without understanding how that affects those around him. Mm-hmm. So that's when I decided to make the book about, each character having their own book, so you can really get a 360 view of the development of the team. But a lot of the personal growth of each character comes from teammates and things that I dealt with personally.
And how about the coaches? I know in the forward, you mentioned Phil and Tex and Greg Downer and Bill Russell. What qualities wound up in the finished product?
Well, they all had something different that they brought to the table. Phil wasn't the most direct in terms of critique, right? But Greg Downer was, and Bill Russell was had kind of a quiet sense of humor about him and sarcasm about him that you see Rollaby have a lot, like in areas in which you would expect a coach to respond to you. He just kind of laughs. It just kind of gives you a smirk or says something very tongue-in-cheek. And so I try to combine all of those little things from all of them.
So is it almost like a composite character, or is it more Phil?
Yeah, it's just more experience. Like Bill was a great mentor of mine. I mean, I spoke to him often, and we talked a lot about the game. So the resemblance of Rollaby to Bill is like, the salt and pepper in the beard, the towering figure, the deep baritone voice. I mean, that's all Bill.
Right.
But the way he would coach is 95% Phil, in the sense of giving players a room to grow, not directing them one way or the other, but allowing you to develop and find your own truth. That's all Phil.
I don't know if you recall, she relayed an anecdote, I think it was your senior year, where you were speaking with some kids and you shared a story about seeing the laundry come to life late at night. What do you remember about that?
Yeah, that was the first story I ever came up with, actually. It was an assignment that she gave us that we had to go speak to a bunch of kindergartners. And we had to write a story and then present it to them and record it. She actually gave me the recording. My last year I saw her, she actually found the VHS tape of my presentation. And so I forgot to do the assignment because we had an AAU tournament, I think, up in Providence. So I just completely forgot to do it. So I show up to class and I'm, plop my head on the desk. And it's like, all right, let's go. And I'm like, where are we going? Every classroom said, we got to do the kindergarten. They all have their notes and all this stuff. I'm like, she's like, you forgot to do the assignment. I'm like, what? No. So we're walking down the hall. We're walking to go to the kindergarten. And I've got to think of an idea as I'm walking. And I remember my mom always was just on me about picking my stuff up. Like, you come from tournaments, and you got shorts and shirts, and they're all stinky, and you just throw them on the ground, and I'm leaving them there, right? And she's always on me about pick those up, do your laundry sort of thing. And I would just sweep them under the bed and just act like my room was clean. So that's when I was like, aha, that's going to be my story. The kid that keeps getting warned by his mother to do his laundry, never does it, pushes him under the bed, but then those clothes form together to create these monsters that at nighttime drag the kid from his bed into the depths of despair. And that was the story I told those kids.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes. Oh, my gosh, is right. And then, we started getting letters because there wasn't no email back then. So we started getting letters from families saying, I don't know what story my kids heard, but their room has never been so clean. And then I was like, oh, man, this is pretty cool.
Does she know that you winged that, or?
She does now, yeah. She does now. She does now. I got an A, so, it was good. It worked out.
I guess she often had this exercise, like a writing prompt where you're given a timer.
Yeah.
From what she remembered was, even though there was a time, she always told you and the students, hey, don't feel constricted by it. I want you to be creative. Yeah. What do you remember about that exercise? What do you think it kind of did to shape the creativity and the freedom?
It helped, like now it's very important in, managing a studio is understanding that you do have time constraints. But also understanding that those time constraints really help unlock creativity. Right, because if you're operating with no deadlines, there's no sense of urgency. But having a deadline, it enables you to be creative, but still understanding, like mentally, you're pushing yourself to get it done. You're challenging yourself to get it done. That's what ideas come forward. And then when you hit that time limit, you have a couple more that trickle out, and then you can go a little bit beyond that time, right? But it's important to have constraints.
Kind of like take a view out of not just the book, but everything. When you were kind of planning this the last few years of your career, what were your kind of initial expectations of what the next step would be, and how have you kind of seen that play out with everything you've done?
I just wanted to tell stories. I had Dear Basketball that I knew was going to be coming out soon, and when I retired, we immediately moved into the execution of the short film. So, the animation, actually animating the film, and then working with John on the music and schedules and, things like that. And then from that, I was developing these novels. So a lot of them were still in the outlining stage. And so trying to figure those out and make them books. And at the time, I hadn't hired a head of publishing. I hadn't done these things. So I still had to do a lot of research and figuring out who were going to be the people that were going to take this crazy journey with me. So it was a lot of work to be done still.
So what was the process for you of just listening to your other interviews of trying to sell this to traditional publishers and then making the decision, okay, I'm going to run it through my own studio?
It was a couple things. One, in being just kind of the owning of the intellectual property. And I wanted to make sure that as a company, we had the flexibility to do what we wanted with the books, the hard copies of the books and the digital books. I wanted to make sure we maintained control over that. And then just the actual making of the book. I wanted to make books that were really, really high in quality, especially from in launching the books. I felt like we needed to launch books that were different. And there wasn't a publishing company in the world that would make books of this kind of quality, because it just doesn't make sense for the bottom line. In those first few years, it just doesn't make sense. So I knew it had to be something that we kind of take on our own.
Yeah, and I guess point you made is, on one hand, you had an audience because of who you are, but on another hand, there was, I guess, some skepticism because of the newness of it. How did you kind of try to sift through all that?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's different. I mean, because the book market is, it's like hardcore basketball fans. Man, you have like your few that are really passionate about it, or like in music, you have really hardcore hip hop fans that it's hard for you to penetrate that area. It's the same thing with books. You have librarians, you have people that are seriously into books and literature, and now here I come, and they're like, okay, another celebrity is like trying to do a book. That's cute, sort of thing. And, it was important to get writers that were established and editors that were established and, really love what they do, and that helps a little bit within the industry. And then them seeing the passion for the books that we make and the stories that we tell. And, over time, they can see that we take the art very seriously.
Yeah. So where would you rank these trophies that you have behind you?
Well, they're at the top. For me, it's not something that was expected. Yeah. As a kid, you kind of have the goal of winning championships and doing these sorts of things, right? And being in the industry that I'm in now, it wasn't something that was thought of, or like winning an Oscar wasn't something that was like, oh, I want to win an Oscar one day, And it certainly wasn't something that people expected of me. You expect kind of you're a basketball player, you're an athlete. That's it. That's all. I don't know what you're going to do when you retire. You're going to be